I hope everyone is having a lovely Friday. The sun is shining where I'm at, and I hope it looks like it's shining where all of you are at as well. So thanks so much for coming on a Friday morning. The end of the week, we have had a long week of events with the launch of BizHub through Lake County, Illinois. And it's been quite a joy to work with everybody in your community and have these valuable presentations be shared. This is our final presentation for the week of the launch of BizHub, but BizHub isn't going anywhere. All of you that are registered did receive a free profile to BizHub. BizHub is a completely free community building platform where you can access resources and information. After the presentation today, I am going to show just a little short snippet on how you can actually access BizHub to be able to reach out to not only the presenters that are here today, but also the presenters that have been here throughout the week, where you can access resources, post questions, look for advice, just a ton of different ways to access resources within your local community. So I'm going to show you that briefly after our presentation and after we have the Q&A. So please stay on to take a peek at that so I can help you navigate through BizHub. Without further ado, I'd love to hand the conversation over to Mitch. Mitch.
All right, thank you, Lily, and good morning, everybody. Ray, good to see your face. Alistair, I don't think we've met, but thank you for showing up this morning. My name is Mitch Bienvenu. As Lily said, I'm the director of the Small Business Development and International Trade Center at College of Lake County. We're a grant-funded organization that's been around for about 37, I think going on 38 years now. And basically what we do is we help anybody in Lake County who wants to start or grow a small business to do that. The way we do it, the kind of three parts of our mission, if you will, is to inspire, to educate, and to connect. And the inspiration part of that has mostly to do with the fact that we just love working with entrepreneurs and small business people because we know that they're the backbone of our local and even our national economy. We also know that if you work smartly and make good decisions, that you can likely be successful and have a good career as a small business owner operator. The educate part of that mission for us is, College of Lake County is an educational institution. So just by nature of our existence, we do a lot of training and education. But the Small Business Development Center in particular focuses exclusively on small business training and education. And at any point in time, we are doing all kinds of programming. You can go to our website, take a look at our training calendar and see that we're always doing something very focused on small business success. And today's session is one example of that. We're going to be taking a look specifically at the restaurant industry and how restaurants can reboot. That's the term we used in the title of this presentation. To adjust to the environment we're in, but also I think to hopefully take advantage of the coming surge once things are, all the restrictions are lifted and the economy is opening up again. And then the last part is to connect. We realize that in order for small businesses to be successful, they need, frankly, more than what the SBDC offers. They need more than training and advising. They also need connections to attorneys and marketing professionals and commercial lenders and many, many other kinds of experts. And so BizHub, which Lily is going to talk about this morning, is a new digital platform that we have to help make those connections more quickly and more precisely. It's the basic purpose of that platform is to help our small businesses to very quickly find the right resource and to connect with that resource and start working with them. So that's basically what we do. And I'm really glad that we're here to talk about what we can do to help our restaurants. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathleen Wood and Jamie Griffin, both of whom are restaurant entrepreneurs and consult in the restaurant industry. And they're going to be our presenters today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kathleen and Jamie.
Well, Mitch, thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you to you and Lily and the entire team for everything that you're doing at the College of Lake County, for the county of, for Lake County, and of course, for all the small businesses in our community. if there's ever been a time where small businesses need resources, I can't think of a more important and significant time as right now. So really kudos to all of you. And what an exciting week you've had launching the BizHub. We had our early conversations and got to hear about all the great things that you were doing and, how excited you were about bringing this to the marketplace. I was thrilled as being a small business, not only having my own consulting company, but also being a small business owner here in Lake County, that I was thrilled about this initiative and super excited to be here today with my amazing colleague and good friend, Jamie Griffin. And I'm going to do a little introduction about so how we'd like to go this morning is do a little introduction about ourselves, put some context to this. And then we'd like to take you through a collaborative project that Jamie and I worked on together called Restaurant Reset 2021. This actually is the follow-up workbook that we created from our original one that we wrote in March of 2020, which was, re-restaurant, how to brace the next normal. Jamie and I are so committed to the success of not only small businesses, but in particularly restaurants, that we took this on as an opportunity to share our collective knowledge, experiences, and education and network, to be honest with you, so that we could help to inspire, educate, and connect operators to what their paths for success could look like in a very different and brave, and I believe still exciting new world. So we're thrilled to bring this to you and all of the restaurateurs in the Lake County area. So I'll start with just a little bit of a background about myself. As I've already mentioned, my name is Kathleen Wood. I'm again the founder of Kathleen Wood Partners, a very cleverly named consulting firm. For the last 20 years, I've had the privilege to work with small businesses, both domestically and internationally, in the areas of strategic growth, brand optimization, and leadership development. It has been an amazing journey for me to work with small companies many years ago that today are multi-million, multi-billion-dollar organizations. It has been an exciting journey that's allowed me to meet great people such as Jamie Griffin, but also to work with great leaders and great teams that truly believe not only in restaurants, but also other businesses in healthcare, food service, technology, manufacturing, and retail services. Now, in addition to Kathleen Wood Partners, I too, though, am a restaurateur. My sister Sue and I are the founders of Susie Swirl, a frozen dessert concept based out of Lake Bluff, Illinois. And if you're not familiar with Susie Swirl, we serve amazing frozen desserts, gelatos, sorbettos, and frozen yogurts. And we are super excited about, how our future is looking as we're going forward, because as COVID has gone on, many of the things that Jamie and I are going to present today are the same strategies and practices that we've used at Susie Swirl. So in March of 2016, we sat in an empty, beautiful Susie Swirl. Here today, I am in an empty, beautiful Susie Swirl right now, but we're also on the cusp of a new chapter for Susie Swirl as we see our business expanding into several locations going forward. So we are very, very excited about this. And I bring this up not for the fact that we've been lucky or fortunate, we have worked as hard as probably everybody else has as well, but many of the things that Jamie and I are presenting today are not just theory, they're practical, they're things that are applicable, and they're definitely actions that we strongly recommend in our consulting practices, as well as what we live each and every day in our business practices. Now, I truly do believe in the spirit of collaboration. I love what you said, Mitch, about connecting. And I believe in collaboration. I have been the beneficiary of collaboration. I think in this new post-COVID world, one of the key strategies for success is to collaborate. I think if you're a small business and you think you're going to make it on your own, you've got to really come back to the idea that it's going to still be a lot of great opportunities, but still some strong headwinds. So the more you can collaborate, the more you can connect, the more you'll be inspired to win. And I'm thrilled today to be, collaborating with Jamie Griffin on this presentation. I've had the privilege and the pleasure of knowing Jamie now for over 20 years. I met him when he was still a senior in college at that time. And Jamie and I have had amazing journeys together in similar organizations, in similar paths of our careers. And we have had just wonderful opportunities to collaborate, not only with each other to bring great tools and resources to the industry, but also to work with clients together to help them really take their visions and make them a reality. Jamie happens to also be one of my heroes, mentors, and a dear friend. So I'll give Jamie a moment to introduce himself, and then we'll get into our presentation.
Kathleen, thank you so much. I appreciate that introduction. As Kathleen mentioned, I met her 20 years ago, and she was helping provide advice to a restaurant chain that now has over 600 restaurants, multiple countries, just an incredible success story, and none of that would have happened without Kathleen. So she is all the things she says she is. It is a full circle moment for me to collaborate and work with Kathleen, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'd also like to thank Lily and Mitch for giving us this forum to talk about something so important. I took off my mask a second ago because I'm actually in an airport in New York. And the good news there is that I was helping open a restaurant in Manhattan, and the city here, very hard hit by COVID, but is really blossoming in the spring. People are out, restaurants are busy, new restaurants are opening. Sadly, some in places that didn't make it through the pandemic. So my background is that I started working with a company called Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers that has lots of locations out in the Chicago metro area, and grew with that organization from 9 restaurants to over 375. And then I left and became a growth strategist and restaurant advisor. And now I work exclusively with restaurant companies all over the country. I'm based out of Dallas, so I feel like a little bit of an outsider, but really happy to be here and look forward to being able to visit you guys soon and appreciate this sincere opportunity to be with you. So thank you, Kathleen. Appreciate the opportunity to participate.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and thanks for taking it from New York City and helping, again, another community that when you say that they're coming back, that gives us all, I think, a great shared hope that we're all continuing to come back. Today, what Jamie and I would like to do is we would like to share with you, our newest workbook, Restaurant Restart and Reset 2021. And we want you to know that part of, being connected to the BizHub also gives everyone the opportunity to be connected to the tools as well. So our presentation today, though we're showing you an abbreviated version of it because it's got so much in it and we only have so little time, that we'd like to kind of give you a top line overview of what's in this workbook, but strongly encourage you to go to BizHub, download this workbook, and truly start to put these, if you're, use it as a checklist to see if you've got all the practices in place, use it as a guide to put the practices in place, and use it as a scorecard to ensure you keep these best practices in place. So we really want to encourage you to use it as a tool because that's how we've designed it. Today, what we'd like to do is just kind of walk you through on a top line version, a top line overview, so you can kind of see the level, the content structure, the level of tools that we're providing, and then also some of the other great tools for business owners that we've included. After we've done this brief presentation, we'd like to open it up to any questions you may have about anything that's happening in the restaurant industry right now. We definitely are very well aware of the fact that it is a dynamic industry, to Mitch's point, that is definitely experiencing a lot of surge of influx of customers, no doubt, but it is also bringing with it some new kind of headwinds that I think we're all hearing and talking about, with shortages of labor, rising cost in food, every expenses, services, everything across the board. So as much as we want to enjoy those sales, part of what Jamie and I strongly believe is if you make a lot on the top line, we most assuredly want to make sure that there's something flowing to the bottom line. So that's the premise of how we've kind of always approached the growth strategy side of the businesses, and to be able to translate that in practical tools that you can use each and every day. So let's start with just kind of a quick executive summary. The first thing you're going to find in Restaurant Reset is that Jamie and I have collected a lot of information, both from the work that we do across the United States and some very specific resources such as, the Department of Labor, the National Restaurant Association, and other resources that provide additional tools for you. So all of those are identified in here. But a few things that we wanted to point out was that as you start to think about where the restaurant industry today is, we've kind of gone through the reboot phase of getting ourselves back open. We're now kind of coming out of the recharge phase where it was kind of a cold winter here, but now it is time for the reset phase. And that's what we'd really like to talk to you today about. Now, in addition to this executive summary, the other thing that Jamie and I provided in this amazing workbook is a bit of a view of the current situation. And when we started to look at that, what we started to look at was 3 very specific things that will impact the restaurant industry. The first one is obviously our economy. The economy is back on track. All indications say that, still positive things are happening in our economy and for our economy. But the restaurant industry is still going to have, is expected to be a very uneven return. And what we mean by this is some parts of the United States, they are exploding. Masks are no longer required. Occupancy is no longer required. It is, just back to situation 2019. However, what we do know, especially in the state of Illinois and by county in the state of Illinois, that we are still kind of working our way back. One thing that we know for sure is that consumers are definitely ready to come back to restaurants. And if you're like me, seeing the traffic patterns increasing in Lake County, people are out, moving, and ready to go. Now, here's the other thing we do know, is that even with these positive, I would say positive indications that there still will continue to be a labor shortage. This labor shortage is hit by, especially make sure, being hit hard in the restaurant industry. The restaurant industry employs over 12.4 million people on an annual basis. But again, the restaurant industry saw many of those people leave our industry during COVID, and they are not returning to COVID. And that combined with, continued unemployment support and other industries taking our hardworking, long hour, great employees and luring them into other segments is leaving us with an employment shortage. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that we can't open as fast? Does it mean that we can't do what we want to do? No, it just means that we need to start thinking differently about how we do it and what can we do differently in our business so that we can be successful in it. So this is just one of the quick overviews. The other thing that Jamie and I present, though, is we don't want to leave it on that note. So we give you 7 key opportunities for ways that your business can thrive coming out of COVID, whether it be, the continued emphasis on visual displays of safety, because 89% of consumers want to continue to see that, streamlining your menus, making sure that you have off-premise opportunities, continuing to invest in technology. BizHub is the perfect tool for showing why that's so important. Understanding that customers are coming off of almost 12 months of Amazon effect behaviors, where they literally could pick this phone up, get what they want, and get it immediately. They have those same expectations when they come into restaurants. Continue to look at your restaurant design so that you're not just preparing it for a post-COVID world, but you're preparing it for a new consumer world. And then understand this. Understand that 2021 will still be the year of hyper local consumer focus. So that to me is one of the most significant things here in Lake County. All of our great customers have been with us for these last 12 months. We want to keep them here. We want to keep them, spending with us in our communities. And we want to love our customers in our communities as well. Now I'm going to take a moment, turn it over to Jamie, so he can give you an overview of the key sections in our restaurant reset workbook. So Jamie, can you provide a top line overview of our 5 key sections, please?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. One thing that just dawned on me, Kathleen, is that the Restaurant Revitalization Fund registration opened at about the same time as this presentation today. So we may have folks trying to register. And if you haven't read up on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, it's absolutely something you should. You don't have a ton of time, but applications open on Monday. There's very limited money, and we really want to come out and show the extreme interest and need of the industry. So as Kathleen mentioned, we have divided this presentation into 5 sections, and these really are the 5 sections that we use, are the 5 topics that we use in all aspects of our consulting. So the first thing is crystal clear clarity. So if you don't know where you're going, how does everybody else know where you're going? You have a whole team of people. You know, sometimes even your customers need clarity. So clarity is absolutely important. We kind of call this the cover of the puzzle box, if you will, right? If you're putting together a puzzle and you've never seen the box cover, it's really, really difficult. And so what we want you to do is have crystal clear clarity, and we talk more about that in the presentation. Next one is financial clarity and financial visibility. Kathleen and I share the sentiment that a business without profit isn't a dream, it's a nightmare. And so we want to make sure that you have both financial clarity and financial visibility, right? The dashboard, the dashboard on how well you're doing is really in the numbers, and financial clarity is an important part of that. Next is a written game plan. So it's, you know, it can't just be in your head. You know, a lot of us have great plans in our head, but these plans need to be written down, documented, and communicated with the team. And we give a lot of thought and a lot of feedback to not only how to do that, but also what should be in the plan. The one I'm most passionate about is the dream team. I believe we have to give the experience to the team that we want them to give to our customers. And right now, the big issue is a labor shortage. Everyone's talking about it. It's extremely difficult. I'm happy to answer questions and talk about it more later, but you all know that, you know, no matter your vision or your financial situation, without the people, we can't make this happen. And then finally, you know, Kathleen alluded to earlier, sales driving profit smart. So competitive sales, building brand. You have to have brand clarity. Your brand has been through so much over the last 12 to 16 months. It's still going through some trauma. And so it's up to you to really be thoughtful about the evolution of your brand and how you want your brand to compete. These are just the high level topics. Every single topic has multiple slides that support it. And so, Kathleen?
Yeah, so let's give thanks for that, Jamie. And let's give you a couple of ideas of what those slides look like. So crystal clear clarity. This is the kind of tool that you'll find in this workbook. You know, we try to really take the best practices of our practices and also best practices of what we know work in the restaurant industry and synthesize it down into simplified tools that allow you to kind of take a look at where your concept is now and where your concept's moving. You know, as Jamie said, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know when you're going to get there? So having clarity right now, especially of your concept, your marketplace, your customers, is a key to success moving forward. The other tool, so this is just one page of multiple pages of tools, but another tool that we put in here is really about financial clarity. And again, financial visibility equals business sustainability. So here we're providing you with ways for you to evaluate what's your financial support and your practices for managing and having the financial discipline to ensure that those sales are translating into profitability. We also have some key areas in here that we really work with small businesses on to make sure that they have 20/20 visibility and focus when it comes to things like P&Ls, annual budgets, growth plans, and cash flow and debt reduction. Now, I can assure you that Jamie and I could probably do a one-day workshop on each one of these sections. But what we've tried to do is synthesize it down into the most important things for you to be looking at when you start to think about your business and where it's going. Now, in addition to tools like this, and for every one of the sections that Jamie provided an overview, we have multiple pages dedicated to each one of those sections. But in addition to that, we also felt that it was incredibly important, not just to provide tools by each one of those areas, but to also provide the operators action plans so that you as an operator could say, okay, I've kind of done all this. Now, what am I supposed to do next? So we've included a couple, I think, great tools. Here's what we call the Restaurant Leaders Checklist. And basically, we're taking those same 5 topics that you've now seen as an overview, seen as tools, and now we're going to give it to you as a checklist. So literally allowing you to figure out where you are so that you can game plan where you want to go. You know, the best thing about this is this serves not only as a great scorecard, it serves as a framework for a game plan, and it also serves as an amazing check-in that if you want to look 30 days from now, 90 days from now, or 120 days from now, you'd have everything you'd need. The other thing that we wanted to share with you was some very important information, which is really our contact information, because we'd love for you to reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, or anything we can support you with. As Mitch mentioned at the beginning, part of the BizHub is really to inspire, to educate, and connect. And I just love those 3 because when I think about what Jamie's doing in Consult to Grow, what I'm doing with Kathleen Wood Partners, that's what we try to do each and every day. Inspire small businesses to be successful, provide them with the education, resources, and tools to help them get there. And then, of course, to try to connect in the BizHub and places like this today. Now, as I mentioned, we abbreviated our presentation today. The workbook has over 30 pages of great information in it that can answer a majority of the questions that you might be looking for as you reset your restaurant now. But we did want to preserve a few minutes to take any questions or any questions you might have on anything relative to the restaurant industry, so that we can provide you instant support today.
Please feel free to unmute if you have a specific question, or you can put it in the chat.
Lily, while people are thinking about any questions they may have, I uploaded the restaurant reset document to my profile, but I'm not sure what's the best way to share it with the broadest audience with your group. So if you could provide advice on that, that would help us make sure we get this information to everyone.
If you could, absolutely. I love that you uploaded it there. If you could also share it with me, I'm going to put it in the Knowledge Center under food and beverage. And so people will be able to access and open it up there. So if you want to send that to my email address, which I'll put right here in the chat, and I'll show them exactly where it is and where they'll be able to access it.
And while we're doing that, this is Mitch, folks. Thanks for the information, Jamie and Kathleen. Very good. And one of the questions I always have is how to move from plan to action, right? And so what's in your workbook, I think, is good and focused on planning. But how do we move folks from planning to action with a document like that?
Yeah, so I'll say a couple things. First, I think a lot of small business owners and especially restaurateurs are always in a constant state of planning in their mind, right? And I know this happens quite frequently because they're always anticipating how can I, which makes them probably the most resourceful, flexible, agile people in the entire, business world. So I think that one of the things that we typically recommend is truly trying to get it onto the paper. Because a lot of times I think what happens is that there's the hesitancy to put it on paper, because if I do, is it going to be right? Is it going to be wrong? Who can I check it with? Am I going to be held accountable to all of this? So we've got to get past that head paper, number one. And then 2, when we go to put it on paper, one of the things that Jamie and I provide in this is a really simple tool, real simple tool about focusing in on your priorities. And we really do emphasize the idea is you can't eat a sandwich in one bite, so you can't fix your business in one bite. But if you focus in on 3 priorities, and the way the workbook's designed is you can really identify your priorities by going through the workbook. Find 3 priorities, write those 3 down, go attack those 3. Take your next 3, attack the next 3, and hit it one at a time. What happens is over time you build muscle memory about writing, planning, writing, doing. And that's when we connect what I call the head, the heart, and the hands together to make action occur.
Sounds good. Yeah, as you're talking, it's got me thinking that at some point we should take a look at whether or not it might be a good idea to have some sort of a restaurant entrepreneur discussion forum, because those ideas are great, and I think they're advanced when people talk amongst themselves about it and kind of help to hold each other accountable for forward movement. And so, yeah, let's look at that at some point. A forum where restaurant owner operators can get together and talk about how to apply those concepts and move forward.
Absolutely. I think that's a great, again, it comes back to that whole connection and inspire, right?
Yeah.
And I know that Jamie and I participate in a lot of Facebook groups for restaurant owners and operators. I think there's a lot of, and with the BizHub technology, I think there's a lot of ways to make those connections happen as well.
Good.
But I do think this, I think entrepreneurs in general, sometimes it's tough to think about that plan because the pressure to do is so great. And that's one of the things that I've found in my consulting practice, that if you just kind of focus in on paper, it allows us to get so much more done in life.
Kathleen, you're so right. You're so right about writing it down, and that, your business is going to get fixed one bite or one step at a time. Two things, beyond what you said, because those two were the top two that you just said, is sometimes we kind of create what I call Taj Mahal plans, which is, in theory, that looks amazing and excellent, but it is so aspirational. It's almost a vision instead of a plan. And so what Kathleen and I can do is really give outside perspective and say, let's talk about how big of a plate we have and how much can we really take in. And then more importantly than anything is involving the team in the plan. So, if the owner comes up with all of these ideas, or the entrepreneur comes up with all the ideas, they're going to need an entire team to execute them, whether that be the staff in their restaurant or people around them. And so you really have to, have a two-way conversation and good communication about the plan, take feedback, and have people help you implement it, because, you can go only so far as a team of one, but a team of many can get a lot done.
Couple things for you. One is, I think taking a look at this workbook, one thing I always suggest is that when you're about to sell a business, and especially because you're selling it to somebody that you care about, and you want them to be successful, is to make sure that you're selling them the whole business, right? So I think where the workbook could be really helpful is it will help you go through all elements of the business, so that when you depart, your big brains and intellectual business mind gets captured and stays with him. I think the other part of the one part of the workbook I would really key in on is really the plan and the financial visibility, because what we know for a fact is that when you don't have a plan, or you haven't thought about what your financial plans are, you can start making a lot of decisions in a business that take it, to Jamie's earlier point, take it from being great to a complete nightmare. So I think our workbook will be great for you to say, did we cover a lot of the checks and balances of this for me to turn it over? And then did I hone in on two areas that are super critical for his success? I do want to say one thing about food trucks. I think this is going to be, I hope you're seeing it already, but I do think this is going to be a boomer year for food trucks, because in the pandemic, what we did see, very unfortunately, is that a lot of catering services went away and they haven't been replaced yet. And so what they're being replaced by is food trucks and small restaurants in the local community that are marketing that they can do catering. So I do hope that, I've got to believe that you're busy too. So that's a great thing. But I'm going to let Jamie also kind of build on my answer, so we give you a complete answer, Alistair.
Kathleen, I would echo really just making sure that he's set up with a team of people. And I don't mean hire a team of people, but, Kathleen and I refer to having somebody as the financial hammer in a business, because, the results of this business show up in the financial aspects, the sales and profit, and having a good bookkeeper, having somebody that you trust to talk about money and business, you know, you're never going to take him and make him an exception, like this outstanding business guy, just like you'll never take me and make me a great chef, right? So we all have our strengths and we all bring different things. And what you really do want to do is make sure there's somebody there to provide some guardrails to help him where he won't be as strong. And he has that foundation for success. So the way I would describe what Kathleen said is, how do you get him a good foundation? A good foundation absolutely has a written plan in it. And a good foundation absolutely has good financial reporting, a good bookkeeper, and somebody who's keeping him financially on track, because that'll be the thing he loses track of. And it's the thing that will fuel his continued growth and continued success in business.
So a couple of things. I think there's a food truck association. If you're not familiar with it, there's a food truck association. The other thing I would tell you is that fastcasual.com did an entire series on food trucks, how to build them, grow them, scale them. So you might look at fastcasual.com in their reference materials. They did it last year during the pandemic.
Okay.
And then the third thing I would say is that the labor shortage, and I'm going to let Jamie talk a little bit more about that too. The labor shortage that we're having is not going to dissipate anytime soon. One of the strong recommendations I'm telling people is to don't sell on what your hourly rate is. You know, tell what the opportunities are for people to work with you. Market your opportunities of employment, not your benefits of employment. Everybody's out there, I'll pay you 12, I'll pay you 11, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're looking for. If you can market the opportunities, like you can grow with us, you can be a part of this, there's potential for you to be a potential owner. Those are much more valuable than the money. People may chase money, but they're always going to come back to what kind of culture is it and what kind of opportunity for growth do I have? So that would be how I would be combating some of that to get those more consistent team members.
Thank you.
Jamie?
Yeah, I know we have to wrap up in a few minutes, so I'll keep this really brief. You know, you're absolutely right. The shortage is real. Essentially, we have an economic recovery snapback that is far quicker and broader than the labor snapback. And we have folks, there's 6 or 7 reasons for this labor shortage. And so what we all know on this discussion is excuses isn't going to fix the problem. It never has in any part of our business. And so we just have to have higher efficacy in how we approach and look for people. And Kathleen's point is really telling the story of who you are, the stability you had through the pandemic, and where you're going being very, very important. Speed being very, very important. So, you know, people are, you know, if they show up, they also have 2 other interviews. And so being prepared, if you find somebody who's great, to move as quickly as you can without doing that dangerously, and not over relying on Indeed or Snag-a-Job or ZipRecruiter at this moment, because the chains are spending, I got to imagine, on a scale of millions of dollars a week advertising on those platforms. And so independents are getting diluted there. And so we have to go back to the basics. We have to go back and visit our church groups and visit our student groups and, you know, visit all of those places where we used to go actively looking for people. Or, you know, if we have a good relationship with another business, sharing people that maybe they only have part-time hours for, but we could take them on for 20 or 25 hours. So we're going to have to be very creative and stay really focused on it. But the people who have the talent are going to win, you know, the bigger picture prize.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're coming up on time.
Thank you.
And
so
again,
much.
I just want to say, Lily, Mitch, thank you so much for all you're doing each and every day. Can't agree more strongly with you that small businesses are the backbone. They've always been the backbone of our economy. They'll continue to be that. More jobs are created because of small businesses. And more opportunities, I think, in the future will be because of small businesses. So thank you for what you're doing each and every day. Thank you all for joining us today. We totally appreciate that. And Jamie, thank you from NYC on your way home to Dallas. So thank you for being a part of this as well. And Lily, we'll turn it back to you to bring us on home.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Kathleen and Jamie, I really appreciated this presentation. Such action steps and such a great checklist. Really valuable information for an industry that needs a lot of support right now. So thank you for such a valuable presentation. So what I want to do now is I want to show all of you how you can connect with Jamie, how you can download this Reboot, and how you can enter it through BizHub. So I'm going to share my screen. One thing I want to mention before I do this is all of you that registered for this actually received a profile for BizHub. Please note, BizHub is free. This is a community location for information for you to access people. And so if you lost your temporary password, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how, with your email address, you can get another one. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to start out at a familiar location, which is Mitch's website for his Illinois Small Business Development and International Trade page. You'll notice BizHub is right here. I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can get into BizHub. Okay. First, you can visit this website, which I will share in the chat to be able to access it. Another way, you can click right here on BizHub. And it's going to actually take you to the BizHub landing page where you can access several things. It gives you a little bit more information about BizHub, but will also allow you to log in. So all of the resources are forward facing, but I do want to let you know when you log in, it's a much more valuable exchange because you can connect with members, you can post in the Connect Now, and you have a series of tools. So I'm going to show you what that is. So right across here on the top, you can see it's a little bit about BizHub, a little bit about Startup Space is who I work for. We're the sort of scaffolding underneath BizHub. We're the platform that supports the local community initiative and all of the content that's in there. Again, open access to the resources, but the main point I want to show you is the Connect with Us. When you go here, this is where you can log in with your email address and password. If you forgot your password, just click forgot password or need login link. Or you can spread the word to other individuals and send this to them for them to register. I also want to let you know that BizHub can be located on the Startup Space app. So if you download our app called Startup Space, you can access BizHub on there. And all of the information I'm about to show you now is accessible on there as well. Just another way. So what I'm going to show you next is once you register with, once you log in with your email and password, you're going to end up here within BizHub. Now you're looking at my profile. You're all going to have your own homepage. And that homepage is really important because that homepage will drive how you see things and what you see based on how you identify yourself within the industry. So I'm going to show you just a couple of key ways from your toolkit right here. One of the important things to do is edit your profile. So when you go into your profile, it's going to just give you, the basic profile information. But what's important is to let us know what your industry is, the areas you're interested in, what are your expertise, and how do you identify yourself within business? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a startup? Are you a service provider? Because these details are going to help give the AI or the details to that homepage to really show you things that would be relevant to you immediately. But you always have the option of digging in deeper. So you just click Update Profile, and then you're going to go back to your homepage. So my profile is I'm a service provider, I'm a community builder, I'm an ecosystem builder. And so as I scroll down here, you can see some of the conversations I'm involved with. I'm in communities all over the country. And then I'll scroll down a little bit more, and locally you'll see there's a couple of events coming up that might be of interest to me. Also, look here, Consult and Grow. Of course, that's interesting to me, right? Consult and Grow is one of the listed resources, as well as Holistic B2B, which was presented for us yesterday. TAD Learning that presented for us on Monday. So of course, these would be interesting to me because I've been looking into them. Over here, look at here, Restaurant Reboot is one of the suggested articles for me. So we go right down here. I'm going to show you how to get to this if it's not popping up for you. So I'm going to scroll up right up here. Here's our Ask Us area for BizHub. You have a couple of different ways to dig in deeper to resources. So I want to show you, we think of resources not only as physical resources, such as the SBDC, but we also think of it as materials like workbooks, like the Restaurant Reboot, and people. And people we think of in a couple of different ways. We have the Connect Now, which is a peer-to-peer, right? If I posted and ask for advice, there's an opportunity from everybody who's in BizHub to answer my question or direct me in the right location. So you can go right into Connect Now. You can click Post Now, introduce yourself, ask a question. And individuals within that area that are specific to small business, entrepreneurship, other startups, other resource providers can answer your question. You also have the member directory. The member directory is everyone that's in the BizHub. You can select based off of if you're looking for a mentor. It depends on, as we grow, there's going to be more members in here, more members that identify as mentors, as service providers, as startups, as entrepreneurs, members that would put their expertise down in food and beverage. Maybe it's members who speak certain languages. Our platform is also can be translated in a large series of languages across the whole platform. So we're trying to create a way in which we can have as open access to information as possible. You can, so right here, I could actually search for Jamie. Let's take a look and see if Jamie is here. So just type in Jamie's name, click search, and there he is. So you could click on Jamie here, and you can reach out to him. You could follow him, any messages he's putting, you can message him, you can check his calendar, you can look at his LinkedIn. So that's a great way to reconnect after this program. Now, in addition, we have a resource compass. So resource compass is about those physical resources, right? Those locations, those SBDCs, or consult and grow. So for you interested in food and beverage today, you can select right down here. Let's look at food and beverage. Click on that, search. And of course, this is in the Lake County, Illinois area. And so we're going to have a couple of different things. We have Consult and Grow. We have the Illinois Restaurant Association. We've got the Kitchen Door. So you can continue to search in business setup, funding. We're continuing to build it out. There might be some areas that are a little less, but Mitch and I are working together to make sure that we're getting those resources in there that are important to you. In addition, there's events. You can register for events. We're working on a community calendar to put events. It will either have an event that goes directly through BizHub, or it will redirect you to other important partners that are having events as well. We also know that stories are important. So we're going to be curating and putting in stories that are relevant to you and to your community, because we all need a little bit of inspiration, right? And then last and most importantly, the Knowledge Center. The Knowledge Center is where you can access right now that restaurant reboot that I was telling you about. So if you go right in here, obviously there's a whole series of different tiles on funding, on COVID-19. But let's look at food and beverage. Click there, select search. And the restaurant reboot workbook comes up right here. Just click on this and you can download that. You can share it on social. You can copy it. Here's that PDF right there, so you have full access to it. All right. So from the homepage, one more time, I just want to recommend you update your profile, connect now, take a look at some of the resources that are available. We have a series of tools here that you can fill out, including the business model canvas, which we reviewed yesterday with Michael. Well, he showed us how to use this to really help pinpoint your value proposition. So a lot of tools, a lot of ways to enter. We look forward to having you in here, and thank you so much for joining us today. Mitch, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, thanks, Lily. And thank you, everyone, once again for joining us this morning. I'm excited to see this platform BizHub grow, because I think what it offers is certainly information like the handbook, but it also offers us a chance to start discussions. And I really want to do that. I want to get people not just looking at what's here, but connecting and talking and making forward movement and actually, taking action, as I said before. That's what's most important about this. So more to come with BizHub. And actually today is the final day of BizHub launch week. We did a program like this every morning this week. And we're going to be recording they've all been recorded. We're going to make them all available on BizHub. So you'll be able to see the other programs if you missed them. And going forward, we're just going to try our best to make sure that everybody knows about BizHub. And I'd like to ask all of you to help spread the word, frankly, because we need to build out the platform. In order for it to be supremely useful, we have to have lots of resources in there, and we have to have businesses in there who can look at those resources. So please spread the word. There's no cost to it. There never will be a cost. It's a kind of like a community service platform that we have here. Thank you again to Kathleen and Jamie, much appreciated. And Lily, thanks for coordinating today. And I hope to see you all in the not too distant future. Have a great rest of the day and a good weekend. We're going to have 85-degree weather here tomorrow, so enjoy.
All right.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. And thank you so much for the really awesome questions and being here. Have a great day.